Hello everybody, this is Benjamin Scott Stallhead II. You can just call me Ben. This is the third tutorial in my series, iOS Development Tutorials. And our last tutorial, Tutorial 0, getting started, went into signing up for the iOS development program, getting into your iOS development portal, using Xcode and Organizer to set up your provisioning profiles, your certs, and your device, and actually getting things prepped so that you could actually create your first app on your device. So let's go ahead and get started. Going to go ahead and load up Xcode here. And with our dialog, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just create a new Xcode project. We're going to choose window-based application, leave all the defaults. Product should be iPhone, uncheck core data. We'll eventually get into the details what these other templates and choices mean. But let's just stick to the basics, window-based application. And hello, Cocoa Touch. And this is to follow in the footsteps of most first apps you write, Hello World apps. But with a little bit of a twist using UIKit for iOS. So, this is our project. I'm going to go ahead and expand these. Go over some of the stuff fairly quickly. So basically, this is your project template: groups, classes, other sources, resources, and frameworks and products. Classes are class files. Other sources, we get a pre-compiled header, our main file, which is where everything starts at your entry point, your main function, just like in most C apps. You then have resources for your main window zib, your Hello Cocoa Touch info plist file. The Hello Cocoa Touch info plist file is important. It's the first file that's opened as part of the launch process of the app bundle. It looks at this file and reads it in, and looks at various keys and their values here. Important ones that we'll talk about now. There's a lot of important ones, but the ones we'll talk about for right now is the bundle identifier. We discussed this very briefly in the last tutorial, where we talked about various things your app will be able to do or not do based on your bundle identifier being fully qualified or wildcard. For development and debugging purposes, and for the initial setup where we're getting started, we did a wildcard one. So we can actually make this anything we want. I'm just going to go ahead and make this my last name or whatever. And then, of course, another key value pair is just main nib file base name. This specifies the file name of the main, basically the first nib, the main nib. And you'll notice that main window, and that's basically what it goes and launches and loads this main window file here. You may ask, why is there no extension here? The reason why is because nib is Next Interface Builder file. It's an actual binary file that's an object graph archive of your interface, and zibs are XML versions of those. So they're very they're much easier to read. Declarative, you can go in and actually modify them if you want to in the XML. And Interface Builder generates an XML file, and then when it compiles the app, it goes through a process of converting the XML version into a binary version. So anyway, main window, loads that up. And the default state, as you come in here, I believe most cases is going to be something like this, where you have your main window and you have your document interface. And I like to use there's view modes over here. The one I like to use is the list mode, because this is great because it gives you this interface, like it's basically really pretty, really nice looking, 3D views or 3D objects here. But I like the list mode because it gives you the actual hierarchy. So as you add your views to the window, you actually will start seeing that they belong to the window, and then you actually can see the Z order. So let's go ahead and do that. Two other views that are important you want to do is the library and the inspector. You'll use a lot. The library is all the other types of views and view elements, controls that you can use inside your app. We're going to put on a button. Interface Builder is a great tool. You're going to learn to really love it. It does all kinds of great little cool things. Sorry, lost myself there. Label. And you see we got our visual style guides here kicking in. Going to center that over here. And I'm going to just go ahead and get rid of that. And then in our button, I'm going to double click and I'm going to set the text for the button. And that's our interface. Now if you notice over here, you expand it, and there's our views that belong to the window. The one at the very bottom is the topmost z-index object. So the label is literally the topmost view inside our window. So that's why I said I like this view here. So you can actually change the orders, just so you know. Like, and this will be something kind of useful as you get into stuff. You can see relationships a little better here. So anyway, so we've laid out our interface, right? And so we've got this button and we've got this label, but we want to talk to these interface objects through code, right? So we want to write code and then be able to basically link up our code properties, our code variables, to the actual objects in the interface. And so that's what we're going to do. We're actually going to go to the app delegate class here, and we're going to create 2 new ivars. One of the things over here in Interface Builder is, if you notice, if you highlight the label, it's a UI label, and the button is a UI button. All the classes for UIKit begin with the prefix UI. So UI slider, UI switch. So as you go through these, you'll notice that. So basically, we've got a UI button and a UI label. So we want to create variables. We're going to do that now. So we're going to create a label. We're just going to call that hello label. And we're going to create a UI button. And guess what? We're going to call it hello button. Now let's go ahead and create properties. This is part of, in the last tutorial, I said, I kind of expected you to somewhat have a entry-level tutorial on Objective-C 2.0, Objective-C stuff, and as you read the guide or a book, you'll get into properties. And so we're just going to go ahead and create properties here. I'm just double-clicking and copying and pasting, because I'm lazy like that. And so now we've created labels, and now we need to synthesize the labels, right? And that's going to generate our basically our setter and accessor and our setter methods. So we're going to do the hello label here, and we're going to do our hello button. Now you can put these in the same line. I just usually break them out. But if you wanted to put all these in one line, separate by commas, you can. So now we've synthesized it. We've added our properties. We have them, and now we want to hook these up. And you'll notice this syntax hint: IB outlet. This is literally to let Interface Builder know, hey, I'm specifying these properties as outlets that you can connect objects to. So if we go back to Interface Builder now, we'll see here. If I right-click on, this is the Cocoa Touch App Delegate. So this particular object here is tied to that class. So this is what we're talking to here. I'm going to right-click or Control-click, and we will get this this window here that basically specifies outlets. And you'll notice hello button and hello label. And so check this out. If I just go and erase this, save, come back, see that disappear? So remember this tells you it's synchronized. This down here that's green says, hey, synchronized project class information. So it's reading these changes as I make them. So if I do that now and come back, boom, pops right back in. So let's go ahead and connect these. I'm actually going to control click or right click. I'm sorry, you can just actually just left click on these. And I'm just going to drag a line, and I'm going to connect it to an object. One of the great things is it's context aware of the objects that you're trying to connect to. So it's not going to let me connect to a label because it's a UI button, and it knows that's not a UI button, but this is, and you'll notice it does highlight. So I'm going to connect that, and the same thing with the label. If I try to connect it here, it's not going to work, but if I go over a UI label, hey, it highlights and lets me connect it. So now we just connected those properties specified as outlets. We've connected those to these actual interface objects. So we're going to save that. And we're going to save the code here. And now what do we want to do? We want this button, when we press it, to perform an action. That's exactly what we're going to create. It's called an action, IB action. So we're going to go over here and create a new method. And it's going to be called IB action. And we're going to just call this hello Cocoa Touch. Just something I want to show you real quick here. But I'm going to go ahead and paste that here and get the body ready. So basically, IB action. If you were to jump to the definition on this, this is literally just a defined void. It's just void. That's all it is. It's a syntax hint. So this is literally just the same thing as doing this, but it's basically specifying a syntax hint to Interface Builder that this is an action. So that's how it knows. So now Interface Builder knows, hey, there's an action available when you're inside the header file here, inside the code. And so if we go over here inside the delegate, it knows. So if I go here now and I right click, I get a list of events on a button. And the one we care about right now is called touch up inside, which means you touch it and you let go while you're inside the button, while you're inside the frame. So we're going to basically grab that one, left click, drag a line over to here, let go on the app delegate, and up pops a list of actions that are available. Hello Cocoa Touch is now there. Click on that, and now we are connected. When we tap on this button, it's going to call it's going to basically send the Hello Cocoa Touch message or call that method. So let's save all that. Let's go up here, run this in the simulator, debug. We're going to build and run. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm jumping way ahead of myself here. We got to define the actual, what's it actually going to do now. So this is where we say, hey, let's go ahead and change the text of the label. And we're going to say that it's Hello Cocoa Touch. And we're going to go ahead and disable just for fun. Even better, let's just go ahead and hide it. Hidden equals yes. We're going to make that button hidden the moment we tap on it. So let's go ahead and build now. And there's our interface, and we're going to go ahead and tap on Hello Cocoa Touch, and our button disappeared, and the label has been set. So that's it. So let's just review what we did here. Once again, main window gets loaded. It looks to the delegate class, which I'm going to explain that next here for a few minutes. But so it looks to this class. We added a couple objects. We added a button and a label. And then we wanted to connect those by specifying outlets, and then we created an action for the button to call out. And these are really basic concepts, and you're going to use Interface Builder a lot. It's a great tool, and there's reasons to use it. Apple tells you to use it, and there's reasons why. Actions and outlets are everything about Interface Builder. Anything you want to connect to as an outlet, and anything you want to create an action or a method to call out from the interface to do something or perform something is an action. And that's why those are really key concepts that we want to get down today in this tutorial. And so we created our label and buttons. We created properties. We then connected those in Interface Builder by connecting the actual objects. And then we created our action. And in our action, we actually performed the code that we wanted to do on those objects. So the question is, what is this whole delegate thing about, right? Delegates is another concept as you kind of read through things in Objective-C and Mac OS X AppKit and design patterns. A delegate is an object that you can assign to another object that follows a protocol or a type of interface that basically you're going to delegate messages to. You're gonna send out messages and call methods on the delegate object. Okay, so it can be whatever you want it to be. Now, all applications have a UI application singleton that they represent. All applications do, and you'll notice in the main window nib, right, that files owner is a UI application. And that's one of the things as you start to use Interface Builder files. Every Interface Builder file has a files owner. It's basically saying, basically what type. What owns this Interface Builder file? What owns this nib? What am I? And so this particular main window nib is a UI application. Okay? And a UI application has a property called delegate. So if you were to actually look up the documentation for UI application, basically it has delegate methods it calls. So let's just do this real fast. Look these up. And you'll notice inside here, there's a property, delegate, and then you can assign to the delegate property a delegate object, and it must follow the UI application delegate protocol. If we click on this, there's various methods or messages that get called out to that delegate object.